Hello and welcome to another episode of Chillin' with Dylan. I'm your host, Dylan, and today I'm talking about a very important topic. It is called Stop Comparing, Start Living. So I just wanted to make this podcast because there's a lot of stuff happening in the world, and there's a lot of people out there. Everyone's doing their thing. And I've just thought maybe for a lot of people, um, having to compare yourself against others all the time for every single part of life, that's kind of can be difficult at times. So why is this important? To stop comparing and start living more. Well, Um, I think a lot of the time we grow up, we go through life, um, we just end up in groups of people, and there's always something to compare against or someone out there that's maybe better than us on something. So like when you're a kid, you're comparing yourself, or your parents are comparing you to, there could be your siblings or people from kindergarten, school, and especially high school. That I think that's obviously a time where there's a lot of comparison going on, and sometimes I think it's really difficult. And I think often it just makes you feel bad. So, but the thing is, whether you're in high school right now or you're at uni or you're currently working, or whatever it is, it never stops. So, this is why I wanted to make this podcast because you're gonna keep going through life. You might have kids, and then all of a sudden you're comparing your kids against other people, and you're just that auntie or that uncle that just talking about how amazing your kids' grades are, and they're like just A plus, and then that kid's just kind of feeling like they're a robot, and they they don't have any other purpose in life than to get 100% or A pluses um, every single day like a robot. Um, Anyways, I hope that didn't hit too close to home. Obviously not me, of course. Anyways, but yeah, the point is, like, you just keep going through life. You'll retire or something, and then all of a sudden, everyone's comparing like something else. The grandkids comparing, I don't know, retirement home, comparing lifestyles, and then yeah, it's pretty much life for you, right? So sometimes I think it is really hard, and I just want to call that out in this podcast. And it's tiring. Um, and often it's very easy to start becoming more insecure about yourself when there's always something to compare against. And I think a lot of the time in a lot of these communities that we exist in, there'll always be like some sort of authority figure, like a parent or leader in a workplace or anywhere else, creating that kind of comparison culture, comparing, which is really can be really unhealthy, say, even in a family dynamic with a lot of siblings, and the extreme example is, I think, I just imagine, if you're watching any of those historic dramas about kings and emperors, and then the princes are getting compared to each other, the concubines are getting it's just like so much drama. So if you have a lot of drama in your life, think about who's causing that drama anyways. um but yeah, like as I was saying, throughout history, this never changes, like in our lives and then in other people's lives who lived before us and then after. Maybe it's human nature. There's just something about us that likes to compare. Um, I just think, back in the day, thousands of years ago, there's no like amazing cars to compare. There's no, social media. But if people still found something, you'll be like, yo, I have like 50 cattle, bro. How much do you have? And then someone will be like, I have 100 cattle in my flock, and then I've got 60 sheep and 50 goats, and I'm like, and you'll be like, oh, that's nice. So if you just think about that, that just I think puts things in context. Um, anyways, there's a proverb I kind of thought would be cool to share, and it kind of talks about this, and it goes like this: a heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. So I think the fruit or result of a lot of these situations where there's comparison culture, or even if you're creating that within yourself, often it just leads to just uh, more and more jealousy or envy, and then like people act in really irrational ways as a result, and I think it's just yeah, like too much of this comparison culture isn't the healthiest in any group environment, um, and especially when there's group environments like even friend groups, it can actually start getting slightly toxic when everyone's keeping an eye on each other and what they're doing and blah blah blah, comparing. So what's the solution? It's kind of hard because we just naturally are social creatures as humans. We're community driven in a way, so we really care about what other people are doing. You can't just live on Mars by yourself, but you do have to exist in some sort of community. Um, but um, I mean, I try my best. I try to not do this. I'm not perfect, and um, there's a few things. For example, like one of the ways that um, our world currently has created this is with all these massive social media platforms. You basically constantly are looking at what people are doing, scrolling on your feed and stories, all that stuff. Um, and like as time passes, you're like, because it's happening all the time, you can just feel, some sort of way. Maybe a simple solution is maybe dropping off briefly and focusing on yourself or something like that. Even if it's for a day, you kind of get that break and you realize that actually what's going on the internet sometimes isn't always affecting your real life. Um, but I mean, I don't think it's possible to avoid it now. So like, yeah, you gotta embrace social media. But yeah, like I mean, maybe this is something for. I think I remember when I was growing up and like high school and stuff like that, Facebook became a thing, and then yeah, it's just like how many likes do you have, how many wall posts, but it'll be different now, and then like, but especially in schools, I feel like. Um, yeah, I think it's gotten worse, and all the mental health stuff shows um, all of it. Constantly seeing people doing stuff can't be super helpful. So yeah, like don't be afraid to like just um, yeah, just I don't know, limit, control, step back, touch the grass. That's something we suggested in a previous podcast. But the other thing I think is actually all the time we are comparing things that are measured by numbers. Um, I just don't know why. Yeah, as a person who works in data or STEM field, I just don't know why. Um, just it's just crazy how many numbers are like in our lives these days. So yeah, like you got things like your views, your likes, your friends, your followers. That's all, all good. And yeah, at the end of the day, I think that phrase, you know, so many things as a number or statistic, isn't necessarily real. It is a good measurement, but it can never tell a full story. And this is from someone who literally always looks at numbers and data all the time, for my work. And um, you know, um, it's just like two things measured by the same number isn't. Um, going to be the same. Like, there's a saying, age is just a number, but you could have two people, two 30-year-olds, two 60-year-olds, two 10-year-olds, and look at them, and with just that stat, they should be the same, but one person might be just really healthy, really, and then one person's really unhealthy, say at 60 years old or even 90 years old. I know people who are like super healthy at that age. And it's like whatever. So that basically, like a number like age doesn't tell a full story. So I think the thing is, yeah, like if you're feeling like comparing a lot, and especially in places where or groups where there's a lot of that kind of comparison and insecurity, maybe stop stop thinking about the numbers side as well, and just think about the like reality, real life, um actual, um what's happening. um yeah, and the other thing is the numbers also goes into things like money and finance, and that literally happens all the time as well. um yeah, comparing um things like salary. You don't really think about that when you're a uni student, but when you're a uni student, um you got another number to compare against, and that's GPA. Yo, that's something that becomes something you could be really obsessive about. And as a typical Asian student, I can definitely um uh admit to overly obsessing about GPAs and things like that. Some people don't even know what GPA means. It means grade point average. So if you think about that, you're probably in a bubble, like with other places. There's actual other um many universities don't track GPAs, and I think it just shows, like, depending on the environment you're in, whether it's a really academic university or educational institution, all of a sudden it's really important. When you're in the real world, uh yeah, it's just a number. And it's a measure of intelligence and stuff, but it doesn't tell a full story, because I'm not sure if I was going through university at this time, could I, you could get like A just by using ChatGPT or AI, versus someone who gets A, but they did all the, like color coded their notes, rocked up to the lectures on time, things like that. And like learnt the thing, and it stayed in their brain, but it didn't, exit. um, or whatever it is. Unlike, maybe using something like AI where you get the grade, but you get the end result is that number, that GPA number, but then the process of learning between two different people is completely different. So something to think about in terms of comparing numbers. So yeah, I feel like those are some ideas, but as I said, um, I don't know everything, and I would also work on this myself. And feel free to drop in ideas in the comments or feedback, whatever section you're listening to, whatever platform, on any ideas on how to work on this overcoming comparison kind of culture together. So yeah, let us know. And um, one thing that um, I think is more and more important now is going from always in a comparison mode to actually, um, yeah, getting to a more secure, um, kind of, um, mode or secure position internally. Um, so I think that always relates back to identity or something like that. Um, I think everything, a lot of things about, whether you're a bit more insecure or more secure, all comes back to the identity that you see yourself as, and where you're rooted or how you're rooted. So um, I think if if it's hard to not like compare a lot, um, I would suggest reflect and take a step back. Maybe think about what makes you unique, because every one of us is actually different. We all have a different origin story, backstory, character arc, whatever it is. Um, we can never replicate another person's character arc, like whether it's a celebrity or influencer. We can be inspired by a lot of people, but we can't live their exact life and have everything that they have. Um, so I think, yeah, I would say, especially to all the like younger people out there, when you think about your identity, um, don't be afraid to go back to your roots. So this might be centered on things like your family and culture. Um, those things you can't really change, to be honest. Like, um, a lot of things you're born with, and I think that gives you a lot of stable ground to, um, yeah, I guess build from. Um, and like other people can't have that if they weren't born with a lot of these things. So yes, I think I would say, yeah, you can easily just start from the things that you can't change about yourself. And it's as simple as, even thinking about things like your name. What does it mean? That's a pretty deep question, but I mean, my example is with this podcast, um, it's only kind of me and maybe some others that can actually do this. This is unique to me. I can't, create this out of looking at someone else because it's currently called Chillin' with Dylan. So that's because my name's Dylan. I know there's others out there, other Dylans, so if you're listening, hello to all of you. But um, like, your name is something that you're born with. My parents chose my name, and that's something that just really is quite solid and really is something that can't be changed or is hard to change. And then from there, you can make a podcast out of it. I've made all this cool merch and logos and random things like that, all off this one thing that I received um, without actually wanting to or asking or making that decision. Um, So yeah, I guess that's an idea, like centering around those things like your name and even with a podcast or any sort of creative endeavor like online and stuff and anything, it's also not necessarily about the where you're at in terms of the um algorithm and optimizing that, although it does make a lot of impact. Like most people won't be able to like start anything like unique if you look at the best um or most popular podcaster or content creator or influencer, whatever, out there with millions or billions of views. Um, because you just be like, oh, like I'll never get there. But um, yeah, like if you um want to do anything, um, yeah, you definitely want to think more about the impact that you can make on people's lives, rather than anything else first. And you can do that by being yourself. Um, and yeah, like taking a step back from all the noise, all the social media influences, and then thinking about where you come from, where your family, and anything else like that. Um, and then yeah, I guess all the other big decisions can stem from that, like whether it's career or relationship or friendship or stuff like that. That all the stuff that we kind of go through um, in this stage of life for those that are listening in their 20s like me. Um, yeah. So yeah, don't be afraid to, um, I guess, even ask your parents and family, um, what makes me unique? How can I be different? Um, so that you're not just always copying the next big trend or thing thing influencer online. Um, and now I'm just starting to sound old, and that's, obviously I think at a certain point in life you start being like, oh yeah, like, you should honor your parents, you should respect your parents rather than being like, uh, I can do whatever I want. But anyways, I guess to finish off and close off, yeah, I just want to say that it's been such a joy to make this podcast, and um, yeah, and to be part of this life that if you're listening, you made it this far. Thanks for listening. Um, yeah, like I hope that you will take a few of this um podcast, bit of the ideas, start living more fully, more authentically, find your identity, find your why, all that stuff. Um, and I really want to say that this, but this is the time to start living that Sigma life. Yo, um, I hope everyone knows what that is, but if not, that's all good too. Um, yeah, yeah. Stop comparing, guys. Just do your thing. Go go for gold on whatever you want to do. So yeah. Thanks for listening. I hope I'll see you all again in the next episode of Chillin' with Dylan. Loving these more recent episodes, so let me know what you think. And I'll see you all soon. You've just listened to another episode of Chillin' with Dylan.